Hi friends! As you know, February's inspiration is wellness. And keeping that in mind, I thought we'd go over a topic today that is very relevant when it comes to wellness, especially like physical health, physical wellness, and that is the COVID-19 vaccine. It's kind of a touchy subject, but I think, as you know, if you follow my blog, I'm all about community, and part of community is doing your part for the greater good. Sometimes that means sacrificing, like things like wearing a mask, social distancing, not going out in public. I've been a promoter of that big time, this entire time. And part of that now includes the vaccine that is slowly making its way to the general public. Everybody has their own opinion, but today I thought I would go over a few myths and misconceptions about the vaccine. And I do have some notes today, so do forgive that. I feel like this is a very serious subject, so I want to make sure I have my information correct. This information comes from the CDC, as well as a few other health organizations that are talking about the vaccine that's readily available. The first myth is that it's not safe because it was made too quickly. And that is untrue. While it was made quickly, it is still extremely safe. It went under all the same guidelines that was needed for any vaccine or any sort of drug that we take on the market. It was, in fact, studied in 4,300 people before it went into the general public and had to undergo 4 phases of regulations before it was approved by the FDA. So it did undergo all the same procedures and tests that any regular drug or vaccine has to go through. The reason why it was developed so quickly really comes down to demand. And that, unfortunately, is a very real topic when it comes to capitalism, which, and that's a topic for another day. Capitalism needs demand. Demand creates money flow. And unfortunately, when it comes to other vaccines and other drugs, if there's not a demand, there's no money going into it. So there's no funding to actually create whatever it is that's needed for a disease or health issue. Unfortunately, there's a very real demand in this case, since it's a global pandemic, a very serious one, in fact. Obviously, as we all know, it's been going on for a year. Longer at this point, probably. So there was a lot of demand. So that meant money was flowing. Government. Dolly Parton, as we all know, who stepped up and did some significant work in this area. A lot of other organizations put a lot of funding into this. And because of that, it was able to be made a lot quicker than other vaccines. But again, that doesn't mean it's any less safe. Myth number 2 is you don't have to get the vaccine if you've already had COVID before. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we do not have a lot of evidence on whether or not you can get COVID-19 twice. Doctors and researchers say that it is possible to get COVID-19 a second time. However, it's very rare. However, again, there's a footnote to that. The average person thinks you can only get COVID-19 once. So there is a significant chance that people, or a significant portion of people who are getting it a second time, are not going to the doctor, are not seeking medical attention because they believe they may have, for instance, the common cold. They don't realize they have COVID-19 again. So unfortunately, if they're not going to hospitals, the research that's needed to see whether or not you can get it more than once, or if it's common to get more than once, there's not the amount of numbers coming in of people to see whether or not this is something we need to be concerned about. So unfortunately, yes, you can get COVID-19 more than once. They say it's rare. That could be wrong. So it is very real, very necessary that you should get the vaccine, even if you have had COVID-19 once already. The side effects. There's a fear of how real the side effects are. Now, unfortunately, that one is a little all over the map because how a drug affects each person is up to that person. There are some who have very serious side effects because they have an allergy to the vaccine. There are some who feel absolutely nothing. There are some who have some issues in the arm after the first day and a little bit of headache, a little bit of nausea for the first day and maybe the second day afterwards. But after that, they're perfectly fine. And let's be real here. Yeah, that sucks. But for the greater good of you not getting COVID and potentially dying or giving it to someone else who may die, 2 days of sickness is not asking a whole heck of a lot. So yes, there are some side effects, but they're not deadly. You have obviously a higher chance of dying from COVID than side effects. That being said, to make sure that that's not a serious issue, when you do get the shot, most locations, I would imagine all of them, in fact, make you stay there for, I think it's about 15 minutes to 30 minutes after the shot just to see if there are any negative side effects for you personally as an individual. So there are guidelines put into place to make sure things like that don't go awry, I guess is a way of saying it. So you are in safe hands. These are professionals who are administering these drugs. So you shouldn't be concerned about side effects stopping you from getting the vaccine. Fetal tissue is another one. Fetal tissue, if you don't know, is tissue or cells that have not been guided, I don't know the technical terms here, honestly, have not taken on a certain structure like cells do. Each cell has a job. And the reason why it hasn't taken on that job or that structure is because it becomes from fetal tissue, which we get through aborted fetuses. After someone aborts a fetus, the tissue can be used in certain drug and research. Obviously, that is a very touchy subject because some people believe in abortion, some do not. We're not delving into that here. Everybody has their opinion. And for those who do not want to take a vaccine or drug because it may contain fetal matter or fetal tissue, this drug does not. So there's no concern for that. So if that is an issue that concerns you or you try to remain aware of, in this case, that is not the situation. So you are totally okay taking this vaccine. And the final myth that unfortunately have to go over is the idea of a microchip. And we see this everywhere. I am a fan of a good conspiracy to myself. I watch, unfortunately, Ancient Astronauts and things about the JFK shooting, the moon landing. I like a little mystery. A lot of us do. But the idea that this vaccine is containing a microchip, in my opinion, doesn't make sense. The idea is they are either tracking your information with a microchip, the government, or whatever powers may be, depending on what you believe in, the Illuminati maybe. They're either tracking your information or they're trying to control you. My personal perspective is, if they wanted to track your information, we are all attached to a phone, or the bulk of us are on social media. We have credit cards. There are numerous ways they could track us easily without a microchip. And as for controlling us, well, the government kind of already controls our water. They control our food. They own the land that we live on. Even if you own it, they still own the country in which that land is. So they still own your land. So they kind of already have control over you. They have control over your vital resources. And what else do they really need? They've already have that. So the idea that there's a microchip in this and you shouldn't take it because of that is kind of just ludicrous in my opinion. Those are the topics we are actually going to go over today. And that is it. Obviously, there's a bunch more myths out there, and you can do further research. I'll include some links in the bio below with some other myths and things that you can check out for yourself, because maybe you have some questions I didn't cover here, or some myths that I didn't cover here. But in my opinion, the vaccine is the next step that we should all take once it's available to us. Unfortunately, it is slowly making it into the general public, but the ability to get it, the access to it is still a little slim. But if you can take it, you should. Now, obviously, I am not a doctor, so you should always consult your medical professional, your doctor, specifically one that knows your history, and discuss it with them whether or not it's right for you, because maybe it's not. Maybe you have some underlying health issues that can prevent you from getting the vaccine, and the mask may be your best option until this eventually, hopefully, calms down. Which seems like a far off future, but we gotta stay strong and keep on fighting. We will make it through this, and the vaccine is the next step to doing that. A somber subject, I know, but if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.